And it's art haul time. Hi everybody, it's Christy back with another video, and it's art haul time. I didn't do a lot of spending in the springtime, but here in the summertime I have been doing a little bit of shopping. Mainly this is Paul Rubens stuff, but it's all from AliExpress. So I don't shop on AliExpress all that often, but when I do, I try to just like buy a bunch of stuff and have it come to me relatively all at once. And I found some good finds. I'm hoping some of these things are useful. At least one of them is just kind of gimmicky for my daughter because I thought it was cool. But overall, I am pretty excited to test out some of this Paul Rubens stuff that is a little bit harder to get in the States or on Amazon without shopping at AliExpress. In general, when I shop at AliExpress, I try to shop with stores that I am pretty familiar with that seem to have a lot of the same supplies. One of those, although I don't know what I bought here from who, but one of them is Install Stationery Store. They usually are pretty reliable. But I wanted to go ahead and test a bunch of stuff, so let's just get to it. Let's go through all of it. Let's start with a non-Paul Rubens item, and that is this here. It seems like such a silly, simple item, but it is a sponge that is inside of a little plastic case. The idea being that if you don't have, like if you're using a water brush, or in general, if you are going to travel, that you would be able to just dab your paintbrush off here instead of carrying a wet rag with you. And I'm going to do a bit, not a ton, but a little bit of traveling this coming summer. So I thought this would be a really good find to take with me, and I'm going to add it to my travel bag, and hopefully we're going to have a good time with it. So that's this here. It came in a couple different colors. I don't think I had an option of color, so I ended up with pink, which is totally fine by me. So that's one thing that I picked up. This is another. This is a Paul Rubens Accordion Sketchbook. So I think, yeah, it goes like this. And you can actually rip it apart, though I don't want to do that, so I'm not crazy about the perforated pages because I feel like I'm going to destroy it. It is 10.5 centimeters by 14.8 centimeters. It is 300 GSM cotton cold press paper. So Paul Rubens cotton paper, their hot press anyway is amazing. I'm really excited to try a cold pressed paper from them that's 100% cotton. I do have 100% cotton block as well. That's coming up later in this haul video. So we will get to that when we get to it. But I am excited to try this out. All right, so another Paul Rubens supply that I picked up that I'm hoping is good stuff is this Paul Rubens tape. And I think you're just supposed to put it along your paintings, and it's supposed to be a nice painting or a tape to create a paint border. This is thicker than I expected the one that I bought to be, but maybe I just didn't convert correctly. That is completely possible. Even as a math teacher, I mess up sometimes. So it's fine. Thicker is better than thinner because I can always fold it over the edge or do something like that. But I am interested to test this and see if it works well, if it pulls paper up, if it is my new favorite tape. I do use washi tape pretty regularly and don't have a problem with it. So we will see how that goes. I bought all kinds of fun Paul Rubens stuff here too. Here is another Paul Rubens find, and this is a little sketchbook. You can see I didn't open anything. I just stacked it all here and waited for you to show it to you. So this is, again, 100% cotton, cold pressed, 20 sheets, and it is 132 millimeters by 97 millimeters is what it says. So that is a nice size for a mini sketchbook to kind of carry around and do stuff. We've got a nice front page here, and then Ooh, these pages are perforated, which is kind of cool. It doesn't look the same on the front and the back, so I'm thinking that you can only paint on one side of these. Oh, and it's like the Arteza sketchbooks, Arteza, I never know how to say it, where like this is cold press and then these are both kind of smoother and then these are both cold press. So it's like, and then these two are smoother. So you could actually do like a whole thing across, though this is perforated, so I don't think you could actually do that. And I'm interested to see how the other side of it works. We have some paint, so maybe we'll do some swatchy, testy fun at the end. Let's do a couple non-Paul Rubens things. So these are the Monami Plus Pen 3000s. There's 24 colors here. Look at the colors. They look really pretty. I'm always in the market for a good felt tip pen. And so I bought these. Ooh, it's got Velcro. So there's these little stickers I'm going to take off. And then there's Velcro on either side. I will start with my favorite color, which is here. One of these two. We'll do this one. So these guys have a fine liner tip. And I think it's like a point, looks like similar to maybe like a 0.3 or a 0.5 without coloring it out. I'm not terribly sure, but that's what they look like to start with. And we will test these bad boys out in my book later. But yeah, they look like a nice set of markers. And I like other Monami things. Thought I would try out their version of fine liners. It says non-permanent fine liner, so that is important for you to know. As somebody that teaches, I like to test different fine liners. I'm always looking for the perfect stationery supply that isn't as expensive as a Flair pen, because even though I like Flair pens, they are very expensive. And to be honest, the tips on them don't stay as long as some other alternatives that I have found. So we'll give these guys a shot and see what happens. These I bought for my daughter primarily. They are HB pencils, just fun little pencils. They come pre-sharpened, but I'm definitely going to sharpen one because they are rainbow lead. So let's grab a blue one here. And do you see that? Do you see how the wood is stained rainbow colors? I think that's so neat. Now, is it just stained on the edges and not stained the whole way down? I don't think so, because the end cap also looks like a rainbow, but we're going to find out right now because I am going to sharpen it in front of you to see. Okay, well, it looks like it's all the way under the wood, giving me a nice little pencil curl here. Yeah, so it's the wood. It's actually the wood is dyed. Can you see that on the pencil curl? It is not fading, and it is, those are super cool. I almost want to just like make something with these pencil shavings because that's really neat. But again, kind of gimmicky, but I thought my daughter would really love these, and she will probably have a blast with them at school. I will test one later when I do a sketch. Okay, don't want to get my hands all messy. Oh, sorry, I can see the ring light in all of the packaging. All right, so this guy I know already. This is a hot press Paul Rubens Watercolor Sketchbook. I have a black one that I love. I just wanted another one, and they aren't that expensive on Amazon, but since I was already buying from AliExpress, I was like, I'll just add this to the order because I'm almost done with my other one. And this one has 20 sheets. It is 300 GSM, and I believe that I ordered hot press paper. I think I did, because this is my favorite hot press paper. Come on, get off there for me, please. Please. I don't want to rip it. I'm going to have to, oh, there it is. There we go. Let's take a look on the inside here. Yeah, this is my favorite hot press paper. I just love it. It works so nicely, and it is so absorbent, but not too absorbent. You can draw on it nicely, and it will take water, but also take like brush markers, like the Karen Brush Marker Pros just perform beautifully on this paper. So good stuff. And I love the blue color. Blue's obviously, blue-green are my favorite colors. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, before we talk about like the 3 kind of gimmicky, I'm not sure, products that I bought, I want to show you one more thing I'm excited to test, and that is this Paul Rubens 100% cotton 300 GSM watercolor and wet media block. So this is 100% cotton paper, and it is supposed to be amazing. Well, I don't know. A lot of people that have used it really like it, but it's got your signature Paul Rubens here. I'm going to go ahead and use, do I have a palette knife close by to take this off? I do. Oh, actually, I got it with my finger. Maybe. So let's take off this top sheet and reveal the paper. It looks the same as this little sketchbook here. It looks like the same paper as this sketchbook had. And I am going to test this against some of my other watercolor blocks. So I now have Paul Rubens 100% cotton cold press watercolor block. I have Bauhang Academy 100% cold press cotton watercolor block. I have Fabriano Artistico, which is one of my favorites. I have Arches, and I have, who's the other one? Legion paper, which I like as well. So I feel like we need to do a battle of the watercolor blocks. So I'm thinking I'll do like the same picture a couple times or test them in some way. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to test these and tell you what I think is good, what is similar, because I don't think any of them are bad. I think the thing is what is accessible to you and what is affordable to you. So which of them in your region, in your area, can you get and work well? So we should just kind of have like a little, not battle, but just like a little test off to see who's good and what we think. So that's going to be fun. All right, let me clear the way here for these last couple things. I really want to take these apart and maybe start swatching them on some things. But before that, guys, I had to try it. This is glitter watercolor paper. And I, again, am just maybe bad at understanding sizes on AliExpress. I did not realize I was buying gigantic sheets of it. But here we are. And you know what? I'd rather it be bigger because we can cut it down. But this is supposed to be glitter watercolor paper. So do you see it? Can you see it on the camera? The glitter, oh yeah, there it is. There it is. There, I can see it. So it's supposed to be super glittery. It is. And it's supposed to be watercolor paper. Let's see what the specs are from this gigantic envelope, if I can find it. Does it say on the front? Not in a language that I can read. It says 300. I'm assuming that's 300 GSM, but I don't know if it's 100% cotton or not. I will look on the Paul Rubens website and get that information for you before we test it out. I'm going to slice it down before we test it out too today, but I just thought it would be neat. It might be gimmicky. It might be, as my mom would say, it might be jive, but we're going to give it a shot. All right, last two things. This is a travel palette of Paul Rubens watercolors, which I have Paul Rubens metallic watercolors, but I don't have any other Paul Rubens watercolors. So I thought, you know what? I love travel palettes. Let's get a travel palette and see. And this is Paul Rubens Watercolor Pencils. And I love a good watercolor pencil. Now, the 12 colors in here was an odd arrangement. I mean, it's maybe a good portrait palette, but it gives me a chance to test them. It'll give me a chance to blend them. Actually, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. So here are the colors. Uh-oh, we already have a breakage. Can I get it out? Yep, oh, we already have a broken tip. I hope that's not an indication of how this is going to go. They seem to be packaged pretty nicely. They were definitely super tight in there. So let's sharpen this bad boy. I'm going to do it in here below my desk. Sorry, I have my open sharpener here. Okay. Okay. So here is medium yellow. Now it's all sharpened. The lead isn't moving, so it just must have been damaged a little bit in shipping. They are pretty tight in there. The rest of them don't seem to be moving too much, but yeah, this is Paul Rubens Watercolor Pencils. Let's open the booklet and see what it says. Brand introduction. Is there pigment information? So it gives the pencils, but it doesn't tell you too much about their light fastness or anything like that. I wonder if it does on their website. So it says it's soft material. So it's like a soft leaded watercolor pencil. So it's definitely something, and I could feel that just even when I was sharpening it there. So I'm interested to see how it goes. Is the characteristic water soluble dyeing from oil-based color lead. So I'm interested to see how it works. Well, of course I'm interested. That's why I bought them. I should stop saying that. Okay, so we'll test those in a little bit. Let's take a look at this guy. So this guy came in kind of a fun palette. We get another watercolor chamois. I love a good watercolor chamois. They're among my favorites. This is like super shiny. We're going to put the chamois there. Okay, so it's got this like water in here that's supposed to like move around like a fidget, but it's not really moving because there's not enough water in there. It seems like maybe it cracked somewhere. Yep. There's a little crack in the top of this, which is fine. I mean, I'm not really going to use it like a fidget, but if that was why you bought the palette, you might be a little disappointed. I just thought it looked cute. Okay, we got 12 colors in here. Now, these do have pigment information because they're watercolor Paul Rubens style. We have a little piece of vellum that goes on here, and we have a nice little swatch card. So we will use the swatch card here in a minute. These are glued in here, it appears. They are not secured in any other way, and they're not, this is like a plastic piece, but then it's got this nice plastic mixing space up here. So all in all, this is a pretty nice little compact palette if you were traveling. There is no ring on the bottom of it if that's your bag. It's really not mine. I like to be able to have something that I can set on a desk. At first glance, the color selection doesn't look too bad, but I'm going to have to paint it out to see for sure. This is probably going to have the full Paul Rubens line. Yeah. See, it's going to give me the full Paul Rubens line, which, while helpful if I was buying more paints, doesn't tell me which ones are in here. So let me go ahead and do some swatching with you here today. We'll swatch the watercolor pencils. We'll swatch this. I'm going to test these two. Let's see. I will test in the little booklet, and I will test in, yeah, just the little booklet, because this paper should all be the same. And I will throw a sheet of that across to see it. I will test these in my little swatchy, my favorite swatch book, which is this guy, my B Super Deluxe. And we'll test the watercolor pencils in there. I think we'll test those in there. Well, you'll see. You'll see what I decide. Let's just do some swatches. All right, let's talk about everything that I tested today and what my first impressions are of all of it. Let's start with the sponge. This is great. I used it two ways. I used it to dab off some of the paint, and I also used it to clean off this palette, which I had colored on. You'll see now it's nice and clean. I'll pull it up so that you can see how clean it is. And that's just under here. I'm going to go wash it. But this is a great little travel sponge, and it was like $2, $1, $2 on AliExpress. You probably could do something very similar if you go to your dollar store. So if that's interesting to you and you don't want to buy from AliExpress, think about that. But it's definitely a nifty idea. Let's see. What shall we talk about next? Let's do the watercolors and all the stuff with those. So the watercolors are here, and I like them. I like them. So let's talk about what I like, what I don't like, etc. The pigments themselves are pretty awesome. And that's not surprising because I think it's the similar formula to the Mei Liang Pretty Excellent paints, which I already really, really like. Here is them swatched on this cold press paper, which is really good. I like this cold press paper. It is, there was some granulation, and I need to play with it more, but it wasn't too bad. And then here's the swatch that they gave me with it. I did a little glaze on them. The blue is still drying, but you can see from there that everything looks pretty good. My biggest downfall for these paints is this palette. So if you'll notice, this does not sit flat. So the hinge, take a look, is not meant to sit flat unless I hold it up like this, which is fine, but then you can't use the mixing well. So I am kind of disappointed in the palette. I like the paints, but I thought this was a cute little palette. I thought, you know what, when I finish these paints, maybe I'll fill it with something else. But I'm thinking now, like, this is not going to be something that I will probably finish it and be done with it. Because setting it, now when I set it like this, it wasn't like moving around too much, but it still was annoying. And you definitely don't want that. You want a watercolor palette to lay flat, or at least if it's not going to lay flat, like if this hinge would go a little bit further so I could push this down, but it doesn't, like fall so that both sides are hitting the table. So that was a bit of a bummer to me, because the colors in the palette are good. They mix nicely. I was able to mix a lighter green, a sappier green, a nice true red, because this is very, very warm. And this is very, very cool, which is great for mixing other things. But red itself is like somewhere in between, and I was able to mix it just fine. I was able to mix like a darker, deeper, more emeraldy green. So for landscapes, I think this would be a really nice palette to use. I like that there is a variety of browns and that they don't include a white. So overall, I was happy with the pigments themselves, but I was not thrilled with the palette doing that. So let's close this up. And it came cracked, which isn't great. I'm not crazy about the fact that it came cracked. I'm hoping this water isn't going to like seep out over time and cause a problem. This book is good, but I am very disappointed in this tape. I didn't even go that hard with a wet on wet on this tape. I just pushed it down, secured it down, and I couldn't have put it down harder because it ripped the paper. It ripped the paper, and my washi tape definitely would probably, well, I can't say because this is new paper to me, but on regular 100% cotton paper, I don't have issues with washi tape. I wasn't rough with it. I was very gentle pulling it off, and then it didn't give me a clean edge at all. Here it did, but everywhere else where I added more water, it went right under it. So I'm not so sure about this painter's tape. I wouldn't buy this again, but that's okay because I like my washi tape. So I don't know. I can't recommend this, but I can recommend this little sketchbook. Seems like it's really nice. I'm going to play in it some more, and you will learn what I think about it. It's definitely got a beautiful pattern. It's got this nice little loop. It was definitely worth the money. Let's move on. These pencils. Nice pencils. They're just HB pencils, but love the little rainbow detail on them, and they are really, really nice for what I paid for them, which was very much, was not very much at all. I will link everything below that I bought today on AliExpress. so that if you're interested, you can check it out. So we'll do these next, and we'll save kind of this stuff for last here. The Monami pens are really good. They all swatched very nicely. Here is the swatches of 24. There we go. Now I'm in frame because I know how to do this. They are finer than some of the other felt tip pens that I have, so I don't know when I'm filming for school how they would do, but the colors are really good and vibrant, and even the lighter colors would be able to be used for highlights. They didn't, nobody had any trouble with pigment, and nobody had any trouble drawing, writing, or scribbling. So I think overall they would be good. They are water soluble. I wasn't sure, so I just tested 2 different colors. They do move, but they don't move so much that they're like an art supply. But as far as stationery goes, I think these are a slam dunk. I am going to add them to the battle of the felt tip markers that is forthcoming. I'm hoping to have that done in early August so that you teachers going back to school can know what's out there for looking for alternatives to flare pens. That is a video I have in the works. So these were great. I definitely think they were worth trying, and it's one of those things where I just have to put it through some tests and see how it works. Okay, last things I tested today were the watercolor pencils and this glitter watercolor paper. Let's start with the pencils. You guys, these pencils are the winner of this entire everything. They are my favorite thing that I got in this box. Look how beautifully they dissolved. The pink I hit water with after the fact, so it was almost dry, but not quite. That's on me. But they swatched beautifully. They dissolved beautifully. They sharpened beautifully. They were not difficult to work with. They are a softer lead, but they said that right on the barrel. You can read the barrels really nicely. I don't know how I feel about the color names. There are 3 stars on all of these. I wonder if any of them don't have 3 stars. Let's look and see if that's just like a design choice or it is a light fastness rating. I don't know. I think it's a design choice. I think it's a design choice for sure. It's also interesting to me that they were all printed, and maybe I need to look into this because it says Paul Rubens here, but they all say Paul Rubens on them. Paul Rubens. So I am wondering if, now I'm wondering if they're legitimate, which is sad because they're so good. I wonder if it was just a typo. Because there's say Paul Rubens on here, and this came in it. So I feel like it should be a legitimate pencil. I'm going to look into that. But yeah, look how nicely they swatched. I will definitely use them. If they are counterfeit or not, I will use them because I love watercolor pencils, and I think these were a lot of fun. So they were my favorite thing. The glitter paper is surprisingly good. Look at this wet on wet swatch that I did here, and you can see the glitter through it. So that was my thing I was going to wonder was, can you see the glitter when you do this? And I am really, yeah, there it is. Like I can see it picking up on the camera now. So you can see it. I also tested wet on wet over here, and we got some bloomage. I was fast and loose with the water. I was trying really hard to see if I could get blooms, so I did get some. And again, I used the new Paul Rubens watercolor paints, but these feel very similar to the Pretty Excellence, so I'm pretty familiar with those. But I did get some blooms, but I also got some really nice bleeds. So I think this paper is pretty good. I have to look it up to see if it's 100% cotton. It definitely felt like it took a little bit longer to dry, but maybe not as long as 100% cotton, so maybe it's 50% cotton. We shall look it up and find out, and I will throw it across the bottom and let you know. But overall today, I had a lot of fun testing a lot of the stuff from AliExpress. Do you shop on AliExpress? If you do, let me know what your favorite recent find on AliExpress is in the comments below. And otherwise, let me know what you want me to test. I have one more Paul Rubens palette coming from AliExpress that says it's gouache. I have never used Paul Rubens gouache, and I can't find it anywhere else. But the palette's really cute, so even if it's just regular old watercolor, I'm excited to test one more Paul Rubens palette out. And yeah, that is where I am going to leave it today. I hope that you enjoyed this art haul. Hey everybody, it's Christy from the future, and I already filmed this video, but right at the end of the video with these watercolor pencils, I noticed, I'm going to open them and show you, that even though this says Paul Rubens, if you look at the writing on the pencils, the word Paul is misspelled, and it's not just once, it's on every pencil. So I really like these, and they were really, like, first glance, first look, seemed like really great watercolor pencils. And so, I mean, I really wanted them to be a Paul Rubens product. But I reached out to Paul Rubens on Instagram, and there was a bit of a language barrier between me and the person who runs their Instagram. But from what I can surmise, I don't think these are a Paul Rubens product. I don't know. I can't say one way or the other for certain. They are not on their website. Paul Rubens does not have any sort of colored pencil product on their American website at all. I can't find them anywhere on Amazon. I can't find them anywhere. There's one place, one online retailer that is selling them, and it seemed to me like they all had the misprint as well. Now, maybe that's why they were on AliExpress, but Paul Rubens specifically asked me to send them the store that was selling them, and then sent me their official AliExpress store and said that this was their product line, and these were not on that site. So I'm going to do a little bit more digging on this, but I just kind of wanted to pop back on here before I finish this video and at least mention that, because I really love Paul Rubens. I love their products, and I don't know if these are real or not. I think they might be counterfeit. This is not the same Paul Rubens logo that I've seen on other Paul Rubens type things. So are they just using the name because it's a famous painter and it's a different brand altogether? None of the links for the QR codes here work. So I really don't know. I really can't say with any level of certainty what's going on here. But it is something that I'm going to keep investigating. If you are somebody that works with Paul Rubens, the company, or I know that there are some people right now working with Paul Rubens and Artix together, and you happen to see this, can you reach out and leave me a comment or reach out to me on one of my social medias to tell me if you know anything about this? Because I certainly don't want to suggest that this isn't real if it is, but the person that I spoke to from Paul Rubens did not seem to indicate that, oh yeah, we definitely are selling watercolor pencils. So I don't know, that plus what seems to be a misprint that is deliberate because of it happening on every single pencil in here. And, you know, it would seem like either, I don't know, I can't say for sure, but I just wanted to pop back on and at least give you guys the lowdown on what I had discovered through all of my research. And take that for what you will, because it was on Instagram. But, yeah, I do like the pencils. I would love to know who is selling them, because they are pretty good watercolor pencils, and I'm going to use them. I have them, so I'm going to use them. But that is it. Alright guys, that's going to be it for me today. Thanks so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye for now.